The story begins in a hilly farm. 3 people were working here. The name of one of them was Massey, while the others were named Sophie and Lisa. Lisa was a widowed lady and Sophie was her daughter. Massey lived next door to Lisa. That's why he would come many times to help Lisa. By the way, Lisa and Massey were having an affair and Sophie also knew about this. Even today, after feeding Massey, Lisa started heading towards her house. She had to do other household chores as well. That's why she went to her home. After he leaves, Sophie begins flirting with Massey. She wanted to warm Massey up so she could bang her cave. After several attempts, Massey gets hot but then stops after thinking about something. Massey was in his 50s, whereas Sophie was around 20 years old. Massey did not want to work with her because there was a huge age difference between them. After a while, Sophie comes to her home. Along with farming, Lisa also did sewing work. She asked Sophie to freshen up so that the 2 parents can have dinner together. After eating food, both mothers sleep on the same bed. It was raining the next morning. Lisa was sitting at home and sewing, while Sophie was sitting next to him. While working, Lisa tells Sophie that it is more fun to make love when it rains. Sophie hurries to Massey's house as soon as she hears Lisa's words. Massey asks her, "Did you inform your mother before coming?" Sophie tells him that I came here making an excuse of going to the bathroom. Upon hearing this, Massey tells him to leave. Sophie wanted Massey to bang her in her cave. But when Massey doesn't pay any attention to her, she quietly walks away. The next day all 3 were working in the fields. Sophie was not focused on her work. Seeing him sad, Lisa comes to him. She asks him what happened to you. Sophie lies to her that she is not feeling like working, and upon hearing this, Lisa starts persuading her to work. A while later, Sophie was tending to the grass, with Massey helping her. Sophie deliberately shows him her legs, seeing which Massey gets excited. Meanwhile, Lisa was doing household chores, while on the other side Massey was caressing Sophie's body. Before he can do anything, he stops right there and starts walking away. Sophie follows him. She wanted to marry Massey, but Massey did not want to marry anyone. After some time, Sophie comes to a house, and this house belonged to a boy named Noah. Sophie came to Noah's mother to sell her Lisa's sewing supplies. Whatever sewing items Lisa made were sold to Noah's mother. Noah's entire attention was on Sophie, but Sophie did not even look at him and went away after selling the goods. The next day all 3 were working in the fields again. Lisa had completed her work, after which she goes to do household chores. As soon as he left, Sophie started warming up Massey. This time Massey gets so hot that he starts banging Sophie's cave. Now the affair between these 2 had started. During the day, whenever Massey got a chance, he would blast Sophie's cave, and at night he would blast Lisa's cave. Massey's luck had opened up because the bastard started extracting water from both mother and daughter. One such day, a man named Norman, who was around 60 years old, comes to Lisa's house. Norman's first wife had died several years earlier. He now wanted to marry Lisa. That's why he came to Lisa. Lisa asks him for time to think, after which he leaves from there. Slowly the days started passing. Sophie stayed with Massey all day and Lisa knew nothing about it. Lisa never imagined that explosions were happening behind her back. A month later, Norman comes back to Lisa to hear his answer. Lisa tells him clearly that there is a huge age difference between us. That's why I can't marry you. Norman is saddened by Lisa's refusal, but there's nothing he can do about it, and he leaves the scene. The next day both mother and father come to Massey's house to call her to work in the fields. Massey was not in his home. He had gone somewhere without telling anyone. To which both the mother and father become sad. However, both of them thought that Massey might have some work and he would return soon. Slowly many days passed, but Massey did not return home. One such night Lisa was giving Sophie a bath. Sophie's belly was distended. As soon as Lisa looks at her stomach, she gets shocked. Lisa understood that Sophie was going to become a mother. She asks him, who did you do it with? At first Sophie does not tell anything, but on Lisa's insistence she tells that I did it with Macy. After hearing this, Lisa understood why Macy had left the house. Macy was also Lisa's lover. That's why Lisa was also angry with herself, that why did she trust such a dirty guy. The next day Lisa was working in the fields, while Sophie was sitting next to Noah. As soon as Lisa's work is finished, she goes to do the household chores. Noah has wanted Sophie for a long time. That's why he came to meet him. By the way, Noah was the son of the same lady to whom Sophie used to come to sell sewing items. So Lisa also knew Noah. As soon as Lisa leaves, both of them come to the grass room. Noah wanted to have fun with Sophie here. But as soon as he sees Sophie's stomach, he understands that Sophie is going to become a mother. He asks Sophie about the baby, but she doesn't tell him anything. He gets angry and tells her that I wanted to marry you, but now I can't do that. No boy in the village will marry you. Sophie got very scared seeing Noah's anger, after which she runs away from there. She runs away and goes straight to Norman's house, who wanted to marry her mother. Norman is surprised to see Sophie in his home. It was also raining outside, due to which Sophie got wet. Sophie came in and started crying, after which Norman tried to calm her down. He makes her sit on a chair so that he can ask her the reason for crying. Sophie doesn't say anything but starts fixing her wet clothes, and seeing this Norman turns his face to one side. After fixing her clothes she asks Norman, "Can you marry me?" Norman was surprised to hear Sophie's question. He composes himself and says that there is a huge age difference between us. Hearing Norman's advances, Sophie begins to warm him up so that Norman can bang her in her cave and then marry her. Norman quickly stopped him. He also understood everything after seeing Sophie's stomach. He says no to Sophie's marriage and then leaves after feeding her. When Sophie returns home sometime later, Lisa asks her the reason for staying out. Sophie tells him everything, that no boy in the village wants to marry me. So I went to Norman to ask him to marry me. Lisa became sad after hearing Sophie's words. She understood that if Sophie did not get married soon, her life would be ruined. She was also sad about the fact that that bastard Messi was her lover. He used to come to their house, and that same bastard ruined Sophie's life. As much as Lisa was blaming Sophie, she was also blaming herself equally. The next day, Lisa calls Norman to her house to somehow convince him to marry Sophie. At first Norman doesn't agree to the marriage, but after Lisa's repeated persuasion he agrees. A few days later, Norman and Sophie's wedding took place. Lisa was very happy with the marriage of these two. After the marriage is over, she also comes to drop them both home. As night falls, Norman drains Sophie of her water, after which Sophie started getting ready to sleep. Norman promises her that he will take full care of her and her unborn child. Soon both of them started living like a good husband and wife. Even though there was a huge age difference between the two, Norman was still trying his best to keep Sophie happy. A few months later, Sophie gives birth to a baby and Norman takes full care of Sophie. Along with this, he also gives fatherly love to the child and laughs and plays with him. Sophie was also surprised to see Norman's love. She didn't expect Norman to love her child so much. Sophie was impressed by the way Norman loved the baby. Lisa also came to know that Norman takes full care of Sophie and her child. At the end of the story, Lisa was in her home and had now decided to die. Sophie's life was saved from getting ruined due to his one mistake. If Norman had not agreed to marry her, Sophie's life would have been ruined. Lisa deeply regretted having trusted a fraud like Macy. Sophie's life was going well. Lisa, in remorse, burns herself to death. With this, the story ends here. Thank you very much for watching our video. If you are a fan of such videos, then please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Goodbye until then. Music.